from around the globe, in sold-out arenas and humble churches, from out on the streets to your screen. And now, the time and what must be done. On this edition of Farrakhan Speaks.
Greetings and welcome to part 32 of these timely and powerful broadcasts on the subject, the time and what must be done. The minister said that the scriptures make it abundantly clear that you and we are the agent of change that we are looking for, but you and I have to be willing to make that change within ourselves. In part 30 of The Time and What Must Be Done, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan introduced the economic blueprint of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad to end poverty and want among our people. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad first introduced this program in 1965 and said, if we can just save 5 cents a day from our wages, 25 cents a week, for 52 weeks in the year, if we could put aside $13 a year, we could save in a national savings treasury $65 million in 1 year. That was in 1965 when he wrote this. And at that time, we numbered 22 million people and approximately 5 million were wage earners. Here we are, 48 years later. Our population has increased to over 40 million people with a workforce of about 16 million wage earners. So, the minister advanced that if we contributed that same nickel a day and we do it 7 days a week, that's 35 cents a week, $18.20 a year, multiplied by 16 million of us in the workforce, we could have in 1 year $291,200,000. Look at the power of what pennies, nickels, and dimes could do and what our unity could produce. If we work together and unite, we can solve 95% of the problems we face, and we will be more successful, more powerful, and in the words of the minister, more able to do the things that as individuals working by ourselves, we have never been able to accomplish. Let us now see the conclusion of the minister's historic Savior's Day address. And at the end, I will be back with instructions on how we can begin to support this program. And now, brothers and sisters, once again, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan.
This is painful. After all these things that we spend in the billions, do you know how much we spend on books? $321 million on books. Dr. Naeem Akbar is correct that we must follow the moral and financial guidance of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad to unlearn the behaviors that keep us poor and the merchants of other communities rich. So, when we analyze all of this, we have to agree that our whole way of thinking about money has to change. So the scripture says, be ye not conformed to this world, but be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind. So regardless to what religion we belong to, our religion are obviously not informing us on how to spend our money. So we think we're God-centered while we are financially illiterate. The problem is that we are not really God-centered. We have been deceived into thinking we are God-centered, but we can never be God-centered if we do not know principles of frugality and wise spending of what God gives us. He tells us in the Quran, spend out of what we have given you. Not spend all of what we have given you. The Quran says that we should not be niggardly, ungenerous, miserly, but don't stretch out your arms such that after you spend, you have nothing left. Adopt the principle of moderation. How can a poor man or woman with bad habits save anything? I know that some Muslims think we are God-centered, but we are broke, living from one week to the next. And I have to tell you, when I became a follower of the most honorable Elijah Muhammad and gave up show business, I was making $45 a week. They took 90 cents out, and I got $44.10. And out of that, I fed my wife, my family, paid my rent, and always had something to give in charity. We did not have a lot, but the necessities of life we had because we did not violate moral teachings. So there has to be a moral component to the building of anything of value. And what made the Honorable Elijah Muhammad's teaching so significant to us is that we could live for less and accomplish more by just being what he asked us to be. And it is our deviation from that that has sunk us economically. Yeah. Are y'all all right? Yes, sir. I'm almost there. Now I'm going to say this and get off it quick, because I don't want a big, heavy, dark cloud to come over us. You know, there's a saying in the Bible, this wicked and adulterous generation seeketh after a sign. And Jesus said, no sign shall be given to you except the sign of Jonah. Now, wickedness and adultery, see, they're combined. Wickedness and adultery. Brothers, you're married, you have children. If you have girlfriends, you have a problem. Ask my sisters. Ain't no pleasure free. Am I telling the truth? Yes, sir. If you're going to lay down with a man, you're going to ask him to help pay your bills. Brothers, now if you got these sad girlfriends, your economy is already ruined, and you are not trustworthy, because in order to keep your girlfriends up, and you don't get enough from your job, that's when you start stealing. See, because of how we spend, we invite vultures and buzzards to settle on our community. Master Farad Muhammad called these the bloodsuckers, but they are also carrion eaters, which refers to dead and decaying flesh. See, a vulture can smell when the flesh is decaying and dying, then it hovers. Everybody that comes to America, these immigrant merchants swoop into our community the minute they come. They meet their co-religionists or their co-nation, if they're Chinese or Korean or Jewish or whatever. Look at what they're told. Go where the blacks are. And soon the immigrant becomes wealthy. Now, right here in Chicago, there's a Koreatown. Have you ever visited there? You never have. But they're in your community. Look at your nails. Who did them? Look at your feet. Don't take your shoes off. You love your new hair? They master that business. And imagine, you poor. How in the heck can you afford a $500 due on your head? How could you? Does that make economic sense? Well, I'm more beautiful. Yeah, but you dumb as hell, though. And the Koreans, they laughing all the way back to Koreatown. And you know what they're told? Well, now, you know, when you come to America, the streets are paved with gold. It's your streets that they're talking about. But they're also told, you got to protect yourself from them because they're savages. Then they turn around and feed us drugs. They feed us alcohol. See, the Second Amendment does not deal with us. They want to use the gun killings in the black community to justify a fight to have, you know, stop guns. You don't buy guns. The guns that every one of our young people have, are they legal? Hell no. Where did they get them? Some of the same merchants you have to protect yourself from them because they're savages. So they feed the alcohol, they feed the drugs, they take our young girls in the back and have their way with them. The lotteries and everything that corrodes and destroys our moral fabric, yes, they do. Many of our Palestinian brothers are big like that now, just as the Asians were, and some are, and the Jews were before them. See, you can condemn everybody else. See, I said to my dear beloved brother, Father Flager, We can picket liquor stores, but we have to stop the appetite for liquor. Then the liquor store in our community will close down. But picketing the liquor store and putting it out of business, they'll find another liquor store somewhere else. We have to clean up our desire for drugs and alcohol and the things that are destroying us as a people. And that's where preachers come in. That's where teachers and leaders come in. Brother Farrakhan, are you against the Palestinians? They're my brothers. But I say to all the Palestinians, remember when the Arabs were in a state of jahiliyyah? You were wine bibbers and killers of your children until God gave you Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, and he raised you up. Now you are in our community. You say you're a Muslim. You love for your brother what you love for yourself. But you don't see us as your brother. You see us as something you can suck the life out of. And I'm asking you to help me. My job is the same as the job of Prophet Muhammad ibn Abdullah. We have to reform our people, and you're making it more difficult for us. You know, J.C. Penney built a retail empire without compromising the Baptist principles that he strongly believed in. He didn't smoke or drink and wouldn't allow his employees to do that either. He said, I would rather be known as a Christian than a merchant. This is J.C. Penney. And if any of those who worked for him had extracurricular activities outside of their marriage, he fired them. Because he knew that if you sleeping around, you got to pay for what you getting. And if he's not giving you enough money from J.C. Penney, then you'll be stealing from J.C. Penney. So he got rid of you. That's why there has to be a moral component to help us with an economic plan. Now, I want to quickly go to how we became a nation of consumers. Did you know this is learned behavior from our experience in slavery and then the sharecropping system? But we must know our history to understand it. When most blacks emerged from slavery, most of us tried to get as far away from our former slave masters and their plantations as possible. We even set up more than 60 all-black towns where we had our own government and began a strong tradition of do for self without the oversight of our former slave masters. And many of these 60 black towns were in Indian territories. Did you know that the native people have lots of land and resources, mineral strength today? But the enemy is right on Indian land, taking the gas, taking the uranium, taking whatever their lands have and giving them nothing. Suppose we and our native brothers found a way to unite and we help them with the knowledge we have, and the land is there, and we help. Now listen, you can't go to your brother with the mentality of your former slave master to take advantage of others. You gotta go with the mind of one who wants to serve them. And in so doing, you help yourself. Guess what? When they saw us building 60 towns, do you know they helped to destroy all 60 of those towns? They began to set up a series of laws that came to be known as Jim Crow laws. Their purpose was to return blacks as close as possible to the state of slavery that we had previously been in. And most important, to force us back into the cotton fields to keep the cotton-based economy from collapsing. Under these wicked laws, money in the hands of blacks was treated as though it was a weapon of mass white destruction. Whites made it illegal to sell property to blacks, and blacks were forbidden by law to sell their own farm products without written permission from a Caucasian, thus criminalizing black business enterprise. We couldn't get justice in the court system because they came up with a law that said Negro testimony would not be accepted unless that testimony was verified by a white man. A white man could walk into your home, take whatever he wanted, including your cotton or corn harvest, or your daughter or your wife, and we had no legal resource. All of this was done, and it was not even considered a crime. If blacks tried to save and invest their earnings, their money could be confiscated. So under Abraham Lincoln, they established something like the Freedmen's Bureau. Notice the past participle of the verb to free. Freedman's. That's not something that we did for ourselves. That's something that somebody else did for us. We never freed ourselves. We were freed by them, and therefore we still singing, we shall overcome. You're not free until you know the truth that will set you free. So, under the Freedmen's Bureau, we set up the Freedmen's Bank. Of course, all of this came from Abe Lincoln to encourage and guide the economic development of the newly emancipated slaves. It operated just 9 years, 1865 to 1874. It had 37 branches in 17 states. Black Civil War veterans, farmers, churches, charities all opened a total of 480,000 accounts with assets worth nearly $4 million. In today's currency, that would be 5.8 billion in today's dollars. Now, when blacks had that kind of money, we could buy all the land that money could buy. Then the bloodsuckers descended and drained the bank of every last penny, leaving tens of thousands of its black depositors in economic ruin. There was no deposit insurance, so we were left with an almost total distrust of the banking system. So between government trickery and the widespread cheating by retail merchants and a legal system that prohibited blacks from complaining, blacks began their so-called American citizenship, economically exploited and badly crippled. Since this is Black History Month, W.E.B. Du Bois estimated that in time from the so-called Emancipation Proclamation in 1865 to the end of the 1800s, 3/4 of the wages due to blacks that 75 cents of every dollar was simply stolen from us. Blacks responded to this oppression in what appeared to be a very logical way by becoming fast spenders. So the moment we got our money, we knew that if we could quickly turn our wages into some commodity, they had a better chance of seeing value for their labor. They couldn't trust banks to hold it, so every Friday we spent all our wages with the overpriced merchants who left us with nothing. We wanted to use our money wisely, but the economic and legal system punished us when we did. So our response to this wickedness was logical, but it set in motion a damaging spend-as-you-get-it mindset that continues to this very day. Our adjustment to this evil has created in us what has become a greater evil. We've become a consumer nation now where everybody else is benefiting. So instead of allowing the robbery to make us wiser in protecting our money, we allowed ourselves to become consumers all the way from then to now. They took away our savings, and now they made us give it back to them as a consumer. So today, you don't trust banks, you don't trust courts, you don't even trust yourselves. So the most honorable Elijah Muhammad said, it's very hard for an economist to plan a wise program and see his plans carried out because the so-called American Negroes' economics are controlled by our former slave masters and their children. The American dream is built on a black nightmare. So we ran away from economics because of all of the abuse and the barriers of the marketplace that forced us out of that realm. And every immigrant group finds a way to nuzzle into the black community to take from us whatever they need to build their communities and exalt themselves in the fabric of America. So all of them will fight against anybody who comes to us with an economic plan that would wrest control of the black dollar back into black hands. Don't you know 6 cents of every dollar we spend is all we spend with black business? And according to one study made by the Gazelle Index, if we double that to 12 cents, that alone would create nearly 600,000 additional jobs for black workers, and that would reduce the black unemployment rate by more than 3 points from 13.8% to 10.6%. Don't tell me we don't have the power, we just have never used it wisely. Now, I would like to wrap this up. You've been so patient, thank you. I want you to put up the map of Africa. Where is our destiny? Some say, if we are separating, why are you, Farrakhan, making plans to buy land in America? Are we planning to stay here? The Honorable Elijah Muhammad said, this is the place that we ought to drive our stakes down. But why not Africa? Isn't that our homeland? Of course it is. Let's look at it. Africa is our friend. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad said this of Africa. Look at that map. Can you see it? Oh, God. Yeah, put it up. You can put in Africa, America, Canada, Europe, Eastern Europe, India, China, Japan, all can fit inside of Africa's borders. The landmass is just that big, and if it were properly developed, it could feed the whole world. There it is. Now, what should our relationship be to Africa? The Honorable Elijah Muhammad said this of Africa: our black people of Africa and Asia are true friends. But is it a place we in America should now look to return? He said to me one day, brother, I've flown all over Africa. I looked out the plane and looked, the land is tired. It's been used over billions of years. But this part, America, it was a wilderness. The land here is virgin. Right now, we are witnessing a scramble for Africa, just as it happened almost 130 years ago. In 1884, when Europe organized the Berlin Conference, 14 nations of Europe got together and planned how they would divide up the continent to extract its wealth for themselves. But just like true buzzards, true predators, they began arguing with one another and fighting each other, which led to World War I, where all of the European nations were involved. We have this map of Africa. So once again, there's a new scramble for Africa by Europe and America. They are after the huge quantity of natural resources that they want and need to have under their control. Almost every known natural resource needed to run the Western industrial economy, such as uranium, gold, copper, cobalt, coltan for your cell phones, video games, laptops, platinum, diamonds, bauxite, and especially oil, is under the feet of African people. China already beat America to it. Russia already beat America to it. China invited all the African heads of state to come to China, and they set up an arrangement with China. With Africa. What is that arrangement? We will help you build your infrastructure. We will help you with roads and railroad tracks. We will help you with farming. But at what price? All we want. We got 1,250,000,000 people. We need access to food. We need certain things. So they want to cooperate with Africa, while America and Europe want to co-opt Africa. And let me tell you, America, you barking up the wrong tree today. Look here. Now, through Farrakhan, the military division of the Pentagon, the United States is now forcing her way into Africa. Now, from our position as blacks in America, our potential strength will enable us to help Africa. You can't help Africa in your condition, and Africa does not need any more bums. What, did I say anything wrong? We got to start right where we are, transform the black man and woman into America, into a potential economic power, and then transform that economic power into political power. Then we can leverage that power to bring about real change in the policies of America toward Africa, the Caribbean, Central America. It's all in our hands. So we say to America, there's no mineral resource that Africa has that you will not be able to have access to if you want to deal fairly with Africa. If you give Africans a decent price for what you would like to extract from Africa, that would enable Africa to increase their service to their own people. And instead of these covert operations where you find some leader to prop up over a nation so that you can suck the life out of that nation and enrich one family or a clan or a tribe. You should be helpful and support good leadership in Africa. Leaders that love the people, want the wealth of Africa for Africans. Then if you negotiate fairly with them, then all can benefit rather than just a few. That's the kind of man that Muammar Gaddafi was and is. This is why America and Europe felt that they had to get rid of Gaddafi, because he was an impediment in their minds to what they wanted to suck from Africa. And he stood in their way. Now let me tell you how stupid you are. If you allowed Muammar Gaddafi to stay in power and you wanted to treat Africa fairly, Muammar Gaddafi was your door to Africa if you wanted to treat Africa right. But you killed him. And now you in a hell of a thing in Africa. You killed my brother, and now you got the same thing in your mind for me. I'm gonna say it, man. You want to put your hands on me. In fact, you're plotting it as I'm speaking. You see this Bible? I want to read you something. You killed my brother, but you won't kill me. You killed my brother Jesus. Notice how I said that. You killed my brother Jesus 2,000 years ago, and he was the last prophet to you. And you killed him. You didn't like his color. He didn't look like you. Come on, you Jesus lovers. He was a black man. Recently, in Israel, some Jewish, I would call them anti-Semites, wrote on the door of a Christian church and called Jesus a monkey. A black girl working for CNN was filming the convention, the Democratic convention. And some white folks threw some popcorn and stuff at her. And they said, "This is how we feed our monkeys." You like to take Barack Obama and his lovely wife, Michelle, and paint them as remnants of the gorilla chimpanzee and monkey family. See, the reason you called Jesus a monkey is because you knew he was not your color, but he was your Savior. He warned you that if you rejected him, one would come 2,000 years later in his name, and he would end your civilization. Well, 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 that one is here now. The scriptures say, why do the heathens rage and the people plot a vain things? The kings of the earth set themselves, and the rulers take counsel together against the Lord and against his anointed, saying, let us break their bonds in pieces and cut away their cords from us. So you have us now before your grand jury. I laugh at you. There's a movie that was made by Tarantino called The Inglorious Bastards. Let me give you the mirror to look at. You want me, and you want us. But you don't know. Let me point out to you something. He who sits in the heavens shall laugh, and the Lord shall hold them in derision. God is contemptuous of you. He's laughing at you. You want to get his servant. Yeah, that's right. His anointed. I'm going to say it again. His anointed. But the Lord shall speak to them in his wrath and distress them in his deep displeasure. I'll quickly jump over here. It's the 2nd chapter of Psalms. He said, now, therefore, be wise, O kings. Be instructed, you judges of the earth. Serve the Lord with fear and rejoice with trembling. But then these are instructions to you. Kiss the Son, lest he be angry and you perish in the way, when his wrath is kindled but a little. Blessed are they who put their trust in him. I am my Father's son. And there is no black, white, Asian, nobody on the planet that speaks as God has put it in the mouth of Farrakhan. Take it or let it alone. I tell you what it means when it says kiss the Son. See, you scared to death Negroes. You that quake in your boots when you see the enemy coming at your door. To hell with the enemy. His time to rule us is all over. Those of you that walk in fear, you're going to die anyway. Die like a man. Standing up for what you believe in and not bowing down no more at the feet of your 400-year-old enemy. Either God is real or he can get the hell out of the way. And the God I serve is real. So in this new scramble for Africa, it's not just going to produce a general warfare in Europe, but it will produce the cataclysmic war that will destroy Europe completely. It's all about the resources under African soil and who will possess them. So right now, moving to Africa is not the wise thing, and I'll tell you why. Oh, Prime Minister David Cameron, you said you would like to stay in Mali and the neighboring countries, and it may require a response that is about years, even decades. Let me tell you something, punk. No, I'm not crazy. I am not crazy. But I know God. You scare the hell out of these little weaklings. But those who have been shown the arm of God, they don't fear you. Yeah, I'm going to talk. Bombing people in Pakistan, Yemen, Somalia, North Africa, and Mali. Now the United States has warned that it is sending U.S. Special Forces troops as trainers and advisors. See, that's the mess that you said when you went into Vietnam. When the French were fighting, you sent advisors. They kicked the advisors behind and kicked them out. You are not going to be easy in Africa. Oh, no. Say, well, Farrakhan, I don't want to go so hard, maybe, but just thinking about you plotting against my life with some weak hypocrites on the inside and devils and enemies on the outside. Well, let me tell you what God said. Come against me with all you got. Don't spare nothing. and I will be left standing. But what you planned for me, my father Elijah Muhammad said, eat it yourself. Because if you plan death for me, God already has the crosshairs of death on you. China is a big player in this African disaster. They've made deals with African leaders. And now America, all you got is your military. You ain't got no money to spend in Africa, but you're printing it up every day. So all you have is your weapons of war. We can end that so quick. Got your Navy. They're a powerful Navy, but we can cripple your Navy with wind and the power of the water that your ships are standing on, that you don't have no control over. God can destroy you with gnats. That's how contemptuous he is of you. That's why I want you Muslims that claim you got the right Aqidah. If it don't take the punk out of you, you don't know Allah yet. But if you know Allah, then there's no punk in you, no time, nowhere, no place. Now, a lot of Americans, you're doing business with China. Walmart alone is responsible for about $30 billion of imported Chinese goods. Right now, if we want shirts and you want to make them, the Chinese will tell you, don't bother. Send them to us. We work cheap. We'll give you good quality shirts, and they're not lying. So a lot of our businessmen are doing business with China. But let me tell you a little something, businessman. While you're making money, think about it. You better save and invest here. Come on, Farrakhan. Why should we invest here if God is angry with this? Hey. You got to live today and tomorrow. See, it delights God to give you the kingdom where you once were sold as a slave. It's easy for him. I'm going to show you in a second. Now, your arrangement with China is not going to stand. Why is that? Well, what will happen as America increasingly sees China as an enemy? They are literally preparing war plans for China right now. So if your business like Walmart is based on what you bring from China, what would war with China do to you and to Walmart and to every business in between? So you do business with China as long as you can. Make a profit, save for investment here, because America is the place of the future. We are a people of 46 to 50 million, a nation within a nation. Now I'm closing on this concept. See, we believe in separation. We believe that integration is a hypocritical trick to make us think that our 400-year-old enemy has all of a sudden become our friend. They'll let you into the bedroom and keep you right at the door of the boardroom. Separation is not a foreign concept. It's what you're doing at this very moment, everywhere you're gone. You're in Iraq now. The British were there before you. They made borders and put people together that were of different ethnicities and tribal backgrounds, knowing that in the future you would turn one against the other for your own purposes. Now you're in Iraq and you're saying that you would like to see Iraq separated into 3 areas. It's one country, it was, but you want the Kurds in the north, the Shia in the south, and the Sunnis in the center. You like separation when it suits your purpose. Now you're in Syria, you want to separate the Syrians. You have the Alawites or the Alawi. You have the Druze, you have the Sunnis, and your intention is to create 2 or 3 states inside Syria. You're not upset over dividing the country up with various ethnicities that have grievances with each other. Separatist movements are active all over the world. In Spain, you have the Basque country, the Valencia, and others wanting to separate. There are such movements in France, Belgium, Scotland, England, Germany, Finland, Denmark, the Netherlands, Norway, Portugal, Cyprus, and Poland, to name a few. The French-speaking people of Quebec in Canada want a state of their own. Yugoslavia was one great nation under Marshal Tito, but as you went into Kosovo and you broke up and separated them, now you have several different nations that once were one. So let's look into the mirror here, right here, right here. Since the re-election of President Obama, there are petitions in support of secession from all 50 states. Active ones in Texas and a few more. All they have to do is raise 25,000 in signatures and the White House is supposed to respond. President Obama has not responded yet, but you're going to have to do something. Yes. The Native American was forced off his land into reservations. And once upon a time, Asians were separated into concentration camps. And today, in every major city, various groups have separated themselves in what are called ethnic enclaves. The Polish have their part of town. They own it, they rule it. The Germans have their part. The Jews have theirs. The Mexicans have theirs. You got yours, but you don't own it. You don't control nothing in your community. The schools are running amok. The children running amok. We got something for you gangbangers to do. There's a natural inclination for people to form clans and tribes for their general security and well-being. We see in Africa a tribal system undergirding every nation. People are desiring to be on their own now. In Sudan, you have the Muslims in the north and the jet black brothers and sisters in the south. The oil is in the south. But the oil was going north to the Arabs. The Arab North, even though they're people of color, they see themselves as more Arab than African. So the real black one in the southern part of Sudan, he's catching hell. They fought for 20 years or more because wealth was not distributed properly, justly, fairly. So now you've got Northern Sudan, Southern Sudan, 2 different nations. Well, we're having a problem getting along with you. We don't like the way we're being treated. How many of you are happy? You're getting scared now, huh? And we'll terrify you into getting straight. Because whether you like it or not, you're going to have your own. Thomas Jefferson, look at what he said. Blacks should be colonized to such place as the circumstances of the time should render most proper, sending them out with arms. Say that again, Tom. Send them out with arms, implements of household and the handicraft arts, seeds, pairs of the useful domestic animals, etc., to declare them a free and independent people and extend to them our alliance and protection till they shall have acquired strength. That's Thomas Jefferson. I like you, Tom. Hey, look at Abraham Lincoln. Listen to what he said. Your race suffers very greatly, many of them by living among us, while ours suffer from your presence. In a word, we suffer on each side. If this is admitted, it affords a reason at least why we should be separated. Go ahead, Honest Abe. Tell these Negroes. James Monroe so adamantly supported sending blacks back to Africa that they named the capital of Liberia Monrovia in his name and in his honor. Your most intelligent president was Woodrow Wilson, who said to blacks, segregation is not a humiliation, but a benefit, and it ought to be so regarded by you gentlemen. Even the pilgrims that we read about never called themselves pilgrims, they called themselves separatists. And this is what these white folks said. What did God say? See, God says in his backing of the Messiah's plan, God commands Moses to direct the children of Israel to seek wealth in the form of gold and silver from the Egyptians, not for the purpose of remaining in Egypt, but to make provisions to separate and leave Egypt. Now Joseph advises Pharaoh to take a fifth of the harvest of Egypt during 7 years of abundance to prepare for 7 years of famine. Joseph then becomes the steward of those accumulated savings. The most honorable Elijah Muhammad did not ask for a fifth of black people's earning. He just asked for a fifth of America, 8 to 10 states. You got a problem with that? Don't you think you've earned it? Oh, but these white people ain't gonna do that for us. See, I think we know them a little better than you. The Bible says all that a man hath will he give for his life. Your life is in the balance today, doctor. Now look at this. Do you mind if I just spend 5 minutes looking at the Jewish people? Now this is not anti-Semitism now. But I think we should look at them. They are a wonderful example to look at. Look at this. It is said that the Jewish population in America, according to the Jewish Forward newspaper, is only 5.4 million to 6.7 million Jewish people. These figures may be questionable, but let us take their figures as a point of reference. Their highest estimate being 6.7 million people. Well, there are 34 members of Congress who are Jewish. 12 in the Senate, that's 12%. 22% in the House of Representatives, 5.1%. We are nearly 50 million. 13% of the population have no elected black members of the Senate. We were given one, but no elected. And listen, of the 9 Supreme Court justices, 3 of them are Jewish. So 33% of the highest court in the land is from a people who are, let me see their percentage, maybe 1.7 to 2% of the population, according to their figures. Guess what? The result of their political overrepresentation was demonstrated last week when the Catholic political commentator who has a Jewish mother, Bill Maher, was talking about how they are holding up Obama's nominee for Secretary of Defense, the former Senator Chuck Hagel. And Maher said on his show, based on every statement I've heard from every Republican in the last 2 years, the Israelis are controlling our government. Now see, how many of you heard after he said that Bill Maher was called an anti-Semite? You ain't even heard that. But if I say it, well, I'm going to say it. Now look, Senator Hagel is hated by the Jews because he wrote in his book that the United States Senate, quote, is an institution that does not inherently bring out a great deal of courage. Most of the time, members play it safe and adopt an "I'll support Israel" attitude. AIPAC comes knocking with a pro-Israel letter, and then you'll get 80 to 90 senators signing on it. I don't think I've ever signed one of the letters. Hagel said if he's ever asked why, he would respond, I didn't sign the letter because it was a stupid letter. The Jewish lobby intimidates a lot of people up here, but I'm a United States senator. I'm not an Israeli senator. Now wait. He said this to Aaron David Miller in the book, The Much Too Promised Land. And guess what? I said the same thing 30 years ago at the National Press Club in Washington, and they have not left me alone since. Special interests, along with Zionist AIPAC, are robbing America of the principle of democracy and representative government. The record is there. Now, 30 years later, after beating the heck out of me for all those years, they're finally getting up enough courage to tell it like it is. Guess what? Back in 1972, secret White House tapes recorded President Richard Nixon sitting with the great Christian evangelist, Reverend Billy Graham. They were in the Oval Office talking about how dangerous it was for America to have its media controlled by the members of the Jewish community. He said, quote, this stranglehold has got to be broken or the country's going down the drain. Now, did you know that the media is called the Fourth Estate? And the media is the protector, supposed to be, of the common man from the three branches of government: the judicial, the legal, and the executive branch. If you don't have a free press, how will the people be saved from a tyrannical government if you don't know what's going on? So the wise among them sought to control the avenue by which thoughts and ideas enter the American people's minds. Look, Billy Graham, the spiritual advisor to several United States presidents, said this. It's not Farrakhan. He said it at the White House. It is dangerous for America, for any ethnic group to control the means of conveyance of ideas and thoughts to the American people. This would rob the Fourth Estate of the First Amendment, which is freedom of speech, freedom of the press. And that would rob the common people of the right to know what's really going on in their government. So let me tell you, Senator Hagel is in trouble. But America needs a man in Congress like that, who's not a rubber stamp for others. You need a man like Senator Hagel as your Secretary of Defense, because a man with a mind like that will keep you out of fighting somebody else's wars. You need a man in government that has another opinion, that is not controlled. And if the Senate does not confirm him as Defense Secretary because of his opinion on Israel, that only proves that the Senate and the U.S. Congress is controlled by the Israeli lobby. And it also sentences America to war with Iran for the state of Israel. I just want the American people, and particularly black people, to see that influence is not gained by sitting in, waiting in, prying in, or praying in. It's buying in with the power of your dollars and your unity. This will increase your influence, not only in America, but throughout the world. And that's why this program of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad is so important. And that's why so many may fight against it, because it brushes the leeches off one by one. And the vultures and bloodsuckers cannot stay around an active body of living people. So, I would like to close by looking at the positive side of what appears to be a negative situation. Listen to this Quranic verse. Thank you so much for your patience with me. And when Allah made a covenant through the prophets, certainly what I have given you of book and wisdom, then a messenger comes to you verifying that which is with you, you shall believe in him and you shall aid him. And Allah said, do you affirm and accept my compact in this matter? And they said, we do affirm. And Allah said, then bear witness, for I too am the bearers of witness with you. God made a promise and an agreement with all those who received the prophet, and particularly he made an agreement with the Jewish people. And I'm speaking now to the Jewish people. You accepted that agreement according to the Quran. And what is that agreement? That when one comes that is found written of in the Torah and the gospel, that you would help him. And in helping him, you would be helping yourself. I represent that one.
That's right.
I am in his place. He's alive and well, and now in power. You have to choose between the Talmud and the Torah. If you choose the Torah, you live. If you choose the Talmud, unfortunately, this is the end of your civilization. So if you help me, rather than fight me, to do this for our people, you will benefit. America will benefit. The world will benefit. And America will be safe from the chastisement of God. Brothers and sisters, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said, America is a preserved area. No foreign power will drop bombs on this. That's why I'm asking you to make your stake here. Grow your power here. Then leverage that power for the good of Africa and the Caribbean and all other parts of the world. Now, there are many black professionals who could, if they would, unite with us, and the whole picture of America would change at once. We, the blacks, are the means of the doom of this, and we are the means of salvation for this. So when the Honorable Elijah Muhammad told me that America is a preserved area, that means to keep it safe from harm or injury, protect it. It means that you have a chance to afford yourself the divine protection that assures your future. But you have to do right by us in order to access that preservation and protection. We met with economists from all the different ethnic and racial groups last week in Phoenix, Arizona, and we gave them in advance Elijah Muhammad's economic blueprint, and I told them to speak freely and openly about their views. They definitely took that advice, and they brought an earnest and respectful evaluation of the plan that the Honorable Elijah Muhammad presented almost 50 years ago. And not one of them rejected the Honorable Elijah Muhammad's economic blueprint. Listen, they presented a wide range of ideas and advice. They spoke of the different savings and investment strategies used by people in other cultures and nations, the types of banking systems that might work for us, the difference between the Islamic and Western banking systems, the exploitative fringe banks and predatory lenders that dominate our neighborhoods. They spoke of credit unions and credit cards, and the potential of microloans, the legal obstacles we might face, and new technologies that can update and streamline our plan today. Our conversations were frank, intelligent, and fruitful. Now, in closing, can we be trusted to pool our nickels and dimes and dollars in a national treasury? They destroyed our towns. They robbed our banks. We have to ensure that if we put our nickels and dimes and dollars together to buy hundreds of millions of acres of land, we have to protect what we buy. That's where the Second Amendment comes in for us. I'm going to say it again. I know you're a little tired, but I'm the 80-year-old man in front of you. And if I'm not tired, you can stay with me a few more minutes.
That's right.
I said, if we have 1 million, 100 million acres of land, banking system, we have to protect what is ours from any thief or robber that will try to take it from us. And that's where the Second Amendment comes in for us. Won't no robber come in our land? Farrakhan, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said we shouldn't carry weapons. No, we won't carry none. But when we get what is required to build a nation, what the hell kind of nation would we be if we can't protect our own borders, our own airspace, and our own land? We got 400,000 black soldiers fighting somebody else's wars. Come on home, black soldier. Come on and stand with us. We don't believe we should take part in wars which take the lives of humans, especially when we have nothing to gain from it. Unless we have the necessary territory where we have something to fight for. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad taught me how to negotiate for weapons to defend our land. We don't have to part as enemies. No. We, the followers of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, are here to demonstrate our love for our people, our concern for the worsening condition of America and its people, whether the people of America feel the need to reciprocate or not. I'm here to present a torchlight that is intended to save our lives as well as all of America if she will only take heed. So, my brothers and sisters, in 1966, Elijah Muhammad sent a letter to Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., and he CC'd that letter to Roy Wilkins of the NAACP, Mr. Whitney Young, Executive Director of the National Urban League, Mr. Floyd B. McKissick from the Congress of Racial Equality, Mr. Stokely Carmichael, Chairman of the Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee. And this is Elijah Muhammad's letter. He said, "Dear sir," talking to Dr. King, "we have reached a crucial crossroad in the life of our people here in America. Since all of us who love our people are walking toward one goal, freedom, justice, and equality from the common enemy, let us realize that in unity there's strength. So let us come together in a meeting to discuss the future plans and progress needed to achieve these goals for our people. If we have any love and respect for each other, let us be intelligent about the matter and present to America and all the world a united black front. The destiny of 22 million at that time, nearly 50 million black people, is too important to allow disunity among us to prevent our achievement of a united front of black Americans. The meeting nor the place need not be public. Please let me have your answer within 10 days. Cordially, your brother, Elijah Muhammad. Now, here's the letter with his signature. Well, 50 years later, I'm going to send a letter to all black leaders and organizations, the military leaders and gangbangers. All you gangbangers, we know you love to shoot, but you're killing yourself. We want to make you a defender of the territories that your nickels, dimes, and dollars and hours will buy. You are the natural warriors to defend, and the science of war must be taught to us so that we will protect whatever God allows us to buy or to build. The Second Amendment has no relevance to the black community in this sense. You don't have legal weapons. All your weapons are illegal, and you're using them like a savage people would use them. We respect the Second Amendment. We know that it had value to keep a new government from slipping back into tyranny. And that's why I think it's Bob Jones or Bill Jones, said if you really want to see Alex Jones, if you really want to see some problems, we'll take you back to 1776 if you try to take away our guns. Now, the militia have their guns trained on the government because they don't like the way their government is functioning. We don't believe we need to part in a negative frame of mind. We've benefited much from being here. Even though we were slaves, we are the best educated black people anywhere to be found on the earth. But now we have to use that education. You know why Chief Malik of the El Rukns is in jail? Not because he's a dope slinger. It's because he knew the art of organizing young black people. You know why Barksdale is dead? Because he had the art of organizing young black people. You know why Geronimo Pratt had to leave America and died in Africa? Because Geronimo had military science, and he wanted to share that with young black people, and they put him in prison. What they don't want is an organized black community. And they do not want leaders that organize young black men. I received a letter from Chief Malik, and I want Chief Malik to know that We are honored to receive your letter, brother. Thank you for your concern for the black community. I know that you're not going to spend your life behind bars because there's too much work for strong black men to do. And so we're on the precipice of something new and better. So don't become frustrated. We will have what we desire. Either they'll help us to get it, or God Himself will give it to us on our own merit. So I thank all of you for spending the time with us today. I thank all of you for your patience with us today. And may Allah bless you, guide you, protect you and me and us. Now I want to ask you, are you in agreement with what we must do to end our poverty and want by accepting a program to put our nickels, dimes, and dollars together and make them work for us as a people? How many of you are in agreement? Would you just raise your hands?
Greetings. What a powerful message we have just heard from the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. These last 3 installments of The Time and What Must Be Done on the subject of the economic development and what the Honorable Elijah Muhammad laid out as a practical and doable blueprint and plan to end poverty and want showed us what you and I must do to affect our condition positively. Now, if you are in agreement with what we must do to end poverty and want, to create jobs and secure a better and brighter future through this economic blueprint and savings program, then let us start by putting our nickels, pennies, and dimes together and make them work for the benefit of our community. The minister is asking us to put aside 1 nickel a day, 35 cents a week, $1.40 a month, which is painless. We will never miss it. Here is what Minister Farrakhan is asking us to do as he continues to work out the details with bankers and economists to find the best way to secure our contributions in a national savings treasury secured in a financial institution. He wants us to start today to set aside 35 cents a week and put it in a jar or receptacle in your home and have every member in your home drop a nickel a day. I have a receptacle here. Put it in the center of your dining table. Let us teach our children the value of saving and investing, and let us begin to regenerate a culture of purposeful saving and investing. You may be able to put one of these dead presidents, former slave and plantation owners in the jar. Jefferson and Washington and Lincoln. And let's make these former slave masters and slave owners serve us, and make this jar a focal point and piece in your home, so when your friends and relatives come over to visit, you can let them know what Minister Farrakhan is asking us to do to help ourselves. I am sure that we all can do this. As our brothers and sisters from Mexico say, "Si se puede, si se puede." Yes, we can. Yes, we can. Yes, we must. Yes, we will. Up, you mighty nation, you can accomplish what you will. If it be the will of Allah, next week, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan will be back with a new broadcast with more revelation, wisdom, and guidance from Almighty God, Allah. We thank Allah for this wonderful teacher, this faithful servant of Almighty God, Allah, the national representative of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for your support. Assalamu alaikum. Peace be unto you.
Please log on again next week and every week this year for the time and what must be done. Tell your friends, tell your family. Log on to noi.org every Saturday, 6 p.m. Central Time for truth, guidance, and unequaled love from the national representative of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad and the Nation of Islam, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. Pass on the word every Saturday at 6 p.m. Central Time at noi.org. The time and what must be done. Remember, to have Minister Farrakhan answer your questions, tweet them to @LouisFarrakhan, #AskFarrakhan. And to add this message to your library or as a gift for someone you love, go to store.finalcall.com.